The lore of Exodus is weird. You see, I recently finished reading through the entire official Exodus encyclopedia, and let me tell you, this universe that Archetype has created is one of the most strange and unique universes I've seen yet. And today I thought it'd be fun to take a look at some of the stuff that's been revealed in the book, stuff that might actually make it into the game when it comes out next year. But before we do that, I just want to remind you guys that if you head over to my Patreon, you'll find early access to new videos, exclusive content, and best of all, ad-free content. And all of this is available to patrons who pledge $5 a month and above. Link is in the pinned comment down below. Alright, now let's say that you're out there in the wilds of the cluster poking around some old ruin and suddenly the air gets real quiet. And then you hear this deep metallic hum. Bad news, that is probably an Imperial Knight. Now these things are basically statements made of steel. And that statement is "F you" in particular. They've got sealed exosuits that lets them operate in deep space, they don't eat, they don't sleep, and they've got enough armor to make tanks feel insecure. So, what can it do? Well, it's got tendril weapons that slices you into confetti, they have arc cannons that chains electricity, and they play around with your squad skeleton like some weird, sick rhythm game. They have a railgun that can turn cover into glowing puddles, and a shockwave pulse that'll knock everyone on their ass just for standing nearby. Oh, and by the way, it reflects ranged attacks sometimes, because of course it fucking does. Also, if you try to shock it with electricity, it shocks you back. This thing is very cool and definitely very fair. Basically, these things were built by the Celestials when they wanted a cleanup crew that didn't ask any questions. If you see one and you're not already on your dropship leaving the area, then you might want to reconsider your life choices. Alright, now this thing. Did you ever look at a tiger and think, what if this had military-grade armor, advanced AI, and an energy weapon strapped to its back? No? Well, the Crown Dominion did, and they built it. Imperial Tigers are engineered apex predators. They're fast, intelligent, and terrifying in every single way. These things are trained to hunt, kill, and survive in the most hostile environments imaginable. Their claws and bite are brutal, but what really pushes them over the edge is that pulse cannon mounted on their backs. Yes, the Tiger indeed has a gun. They also have stealth tech. They can literally go invisible by bending light around themselves, then reappear just in time to tear your ass in half. So, what's the downside of adopting this little cutie? Well, they eat over 100 pounds of meat a day. So, that's a problem, but unless you're the one managing their diet, that probably won't be an issue. Alright, Silicates. So this one's not a monster and it's not a gun. It's something else. Essentially, silicates are parasites. Very intelligent parasites. They burrow into your nervous system and just sit there, chillin', watchin', spying on you. Occasionally they whisper sweet nothings into your brain. And the thing is, just like the symbiotes in Spider-Man, you get faster and stronger, sharper. You start to react to things before they happen. You heal through injuries that should have killed you. It's all very cool until it's not. Because eventually the silicate stops asking. You get angry and it lashes out. You feel fear and then it grabs the wheel. It's like having a wolf inside your head, and most days you're not even sure who's in control. Now, the greatest risk of having a silicate attached to you is that if you take too much damage or if the situation gets too hectic, the silicate can snap. You can black out, and when you come to, you're swinging at your friends. That's not flavor text. That's actually what happens. It's a trade-off because you get real power, but there's always something breathing down your neck inside your own skin. And the longer you carry it, the more it starts to feel natural. Now, in the world of Exodus, animals don't necessarily have to be enemies or NPCs like we've seen with the Imperial Tiger, because they can be full-blown companions. And not like, oh hey, look, a cute little sidekick. No, these are fully intelligent, fully capable, gene-modded beasts. And two of the most iconic so far are the Awakened Bear and the Awakened Boar, or Pig. Now, if you pick up a bear companion, you're basically signing up for a living tank. These things are massive, loyal, and they hit like a goddamn truck. Of course, they're not subtle nor fancy, they're just big fuzzy balls of power and durability. They can tear your enemies apart up close, send hive drones to take care of them at range, and they even soak hits meant for you. Oh, and they're also capable of healing others by flinging bee swarms laced with regenerative nanotech. Yeah, no, that's actually a lore thing. Bears are really effective medics, and they were first known as the most effective field doctors. Essentially, we're talking Winnie the Pooh's juiced up cousin Dr. Jimmy. Now, boars and pigs are different. They think, like really think. Now, these aren't your average tusk-charging, mud-rolling animals. Awakened pigs in Exodus have been uplifted to the point where they understand human language, recognize social cues, and even serve specific roles within communities. They're not sidekicks, they are colleagues. And now, even if they're among the most intelligent awakened animals in Exodus, they're not just thinkers and talkers, because they've got survival reflexes hardwired in. If something would knock them out cold, they'll stick to 1 HP and just keep going. Pure stubbornness is coded into their DNA, because pigs do not quit. But again, the combat side is only half the story. Boars and pigs were among the first animals to be uplifted in the Awakening Project. Not because they were noble or beloved like dogs, but because they unfortunately were easy to experiment on. They were readily available, biologically compatible, and well, culturally disposable. We've had a weird relationship with pigs for centuries, so the ethics of this got muddy real fast. And yet, pigs took to awakening fast. The first talking swine could actually articulate their thoughts, pick up language rapidly, and even help human scientists in refining the process of awakening other animals. They actually became ethical pioneers by accident. Intelligent enough to ask questions, but not given the respect that came with that. And now you'll find awakened pigs and boars in all kinds of roles, such as combatants, administrators, diplomats, and even biofarm engineers. The thing is, pigs know that they are meat to us. They've always known. And somehow that makes them all the more loyal, but all the more dangerous. Because a pig that knows its place in the food chain is one that knows exactly how to climb out of it. Alright, so these next ones are pretty disturbing, so be warned. So changelings are bioengineered species, originally created by the Celestials like most things in Exodus. Most of them were designed for very specific roles like combat, labor, infiltration, and more, and the Marayama Celestials in particular specialized in weaponized life forms. And two of the more notable examples are the Lobo and the minute Vassal. So the Lobo are the really ugly brute force soldiers. They're cheap to produce, easy to replace, and deliberately not built to last. The Marayama treats them more like biological bullets than living beings. And once they're deployed, they are not expected to come back. They're simple, durable, and aggressive, and their main job is just to tear through any defense with sheer physical force. Now, you'll usually see them in packs acting as sort of front-loaded fodder, hiding the more dangerous stuff behind them. If a Lobo's nearby, then there's bound to be something more dangerous that follow up. So you should probably get out of there while you still can. Alright, now, the killer babies. Minute Vassals are smaller, faster, and creepier than the Lobo. And these little buds of joy are literally designed to mess with your instincts. You see one and your brain goes, "Oh, a baby," right before it latches onto your chest and pumps venom into your bloodstream. Despite their appearance, these little fuckers are fast as hell, really dangerous, and built for assassin-style attacks. And if they feel that they're threatened, they can instantly disengage and hide. They're definitely not going to be annoying to deal with at all. Now, the Gath. Not the Geth, the Gath. Gath are what you get when someone says, "Hey, what if we made a human, but also like a fridge?" And the Celestials went, "Bet." Now these guys were designed for raw physical labor. Hauling, lifting, building, maybe the occasional skull smashing if someone gets in the way. They're huge, strong, and durable as hell. Maybe not super clever, but they don't really need to be. In appearance, they're mostly human. Like, close enough to a human that it's uncomfortable. It's like someone halfway finished sculpting a statue of Hafthor Björnsson and then said, "That's about it." Their faces are just kind of off. Like, their bone structure is wrong, the expressions are weird, and they've got this blank stare. You know, the one where you just keep meandering on about something and then you just stop because you can't really remember what you were talking about in the first place and you just space out. Alright, so get this. These guys weren't uplifted like most awakened animals. They weren't pets or lab subjects or evolved forest creatures. The K here were built from scratch. No Earth origin, no once a regular frog. Their creators were aboard a scientific vessel known as the Snowball, which basically was a floating lab wrapped around a comet. While everyone else was trying to colonize and survive space, the Snowball crew said, what if we just invented our own intelligent species? And well, it worked. So, what are the K? Well, they're amphibian-based, fully sapient, and designed to be generalists, meaning they can adapt to pretty much any environment, and they're smart enough to wield tools, lead expeditions, and survive in some of the harshest climates in the cluster. Now, unlike most of the other species in Exodus, the K weren't copied from humans. They weren't even made to serve humans. They were made to thrive without humans, which makes them really unique in this type of setting. The K technically didn't come from Earth, so they don't carry that baggage. They weren't lifted up. They were simply designed to be enough from day one. Man, the Snowball crew really sounds like such lovely parents, don't they? Nowadays, you'll find the K all over the place. Swamps, deserts, tundras, they're literally everywhere. They're clever, tough, and surprisingly good at handling all the weird, terrible shit this universe throws at them. And yeah, they're space frogs, like really competent space frogs. Alright, so these little guys? Yeah, I know, like what the fuck is that even? Well, Itinkasi are weird. Really, really weird. But that's also the point. You see, they were designed to be weird by celestials who are so far ahead of human understanding that we couldn't even understand what they were saying until the Itinkasi came along. And well, these aren't warriors or laborers, they're translators, interpreters, the go-betweens for species that would never really have engaged with each other without them. The Itinkasi were designed by the Osif Dominion, a group of celestials that don't talk, they don't try to communicate with humans, they never explain anything, and they don't even seem to care at all that you don't understand them. At some point, after humanity had quietly and carefully settled some of their planets, the Osif finally responded. And not with violence, but by designing an entirely new species to act as a bridge between them and us. And that was the Itinkasi. Now, these little jokesters are born with hyper-adaptable minds, blank slate faces, and an absolutely insane ability to absorb body cues, language, and even memes. No joke, they'll pick up your slang, your sarcasm, your body language, and even your cultural context within a day. Maybe less. As you can see here, they look soft and slow, almost like mutated babies or hairless sloths. But don't let that fool you. Again, they're absorbing everything, how you walk, how you talk, what you mean, what you didn't say. And sometimes, and here's the freakiest part, they mimic you. Not mockingly, but accurately. Too accurately. And the effect is, well, unsettling, to say the least. You're talking to what looks like a sad albino frog baby with buttholes for eyes, and suddenly it starts parroting your tone perfectly, finishing your sentences, and hitting you with emotional clarity that you didn't ask for. Their job is not to comfort, and it's not to help. Their job is to translate, no matter how awkward, no matter how brutal or revealing that truth might end up being. It's like if the universe gave you a living mirror and it talked back. In your own voice. Now, these are only some of the awesome and horribly weird things that are in Exodus, and hopefully some of the stuff we will actually see in the game itself when it comes out next year. And I'd love to do more deep dive lore videos like these, so remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out my Patreon for exclusive content, and have a great day. This has been Mr. Holton, signing off.